What is up, my brothers and sisters? It's your boy Juice. It's been a little while since I made a rant, huh? Figured I'd make one now, seeing how all the things that are going on in the world. Well, Elon and Trump, huh? I guess Doge was pointless. I guess they didn't save anything. Trump being in the Epstein files. Y'all didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that? Like, who didn't know that? So Elon saying that the reason why they didn't put out the Epstein files was because Trump is in them. Well, yeah, duh. That's why when they kept talking about all these Epstein files, I was like, nah, like nothing ain't ever gonna come out of that. And guess what? Nothing came out of it. And it's because Trump's in there too. There's too much damning evidence for them to put that out, right? But Elon, Trump, all of it was for nothing, so they really didn't save any money, just like I told y'all that they wouldn't, right? If anything, they're spending more money than they were already, right? And then, all these people that were for the deportation, right? Get them out. Get, all these idiots. Well, how much is that going to cost? Right? Because you got to have the labor, you got to have manpower, all the ICE agents, you have to have weapons, right? You have to have the training, you have to have all, so you got to hire the manpower, and then you got to pay to deport them, right? That means transportation, right? Busing them there, planes, whatever, right? Like, how much is that going to cost? Especially if there's, let's just like make up a number, right? Let's say there's 10 million immigrants here, right? It might be somewhat accurate. I don't want to say 1 million because I know there's way more than that. But, each of those people costs money, right? How much is a bus ticket, right? How much is all this going to cost? And I was at, people were all for this before Trump got into office. And I was like, but how much is that going to cost? Because he's talking about saving money. And it's like, but that's costly, isn't it? To like you got to go around everybody up now, right? And then all the problems that come with it, right? The violence, the lashback, right? When you see things for what they are, it's easy to look past all of it and maintain the path, and just like I've been saying, it's not that I can predict the future or anything like that. It's just I'm stating the obvious, right? Like I see it for what it is, right? And that means the future is what's in store for the future, right? I mean, it's obvious, right? People just don't get it because they put it under the guise of like, oh, we're helping you, right? Oh, because they've made you dislike these people and oh, because they're taking our jobs and blah blah blah, fucking blah, right? So it's all under the guise of this, right? And that there's criminals and rapists, right? And then you got these people talking about this big beautiful bill and artificial intelligence. They're like, oh, it's because they're going to spy on you. And it's like, yeah, but I thought they were already doing that. I thought we were all under the notion that your camera's watching you. They can hear you in your phone, right? Edward Snowden, Big Brother. When we were all under the notion that that there was all these like FBI and CIA agents sitting behind a computer watching everything and everyone, right? Sifting through all the information and camera feeds and listening to you with satellites and right? I thought they already were doing that. So them doing this artificial intelligence thing, I guess it's just better technology to spy on you than what they were already doing already, right? That means they have to fire all the agents that were sitting, in front of a computer screen sifting through all this information, right? I guess those guys are going to be out of jobs too. That's just more cuts, more saving money. So, and then, everybody's like, oh, they're like showing these clips of these people who are like, oh, you're an AI person and we're programmed. They're like, what? And it's like, it's real, right? And everybody's like, oh, that means everything you see and hear is going to be artificial intelligence later and that nothing is real and that everything is artificial. And then you're going to believe the craziest shit. And I'm like, yeah, but you already do that now. And artificial intelligence is just now being presented in this kind of form, right? And in all reality, you've been Why you've been talking to artificial intelligence. You've been watching artificial. You just didn't know it. You know what I'm saying? Take DoorDash, for instance. You know, if anybody out there DoorDashes or orders DoorDash, you know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to like customer support and all that, like you text this like entity. And this, I was like talking to somebody about it, and they were like, "Oh, I gotta," they had a problem, and they're like, "I had to contact customer support," and they're like sitting there, and they're like, "I'm waiting for them to respond, right?" And I'm like, "That's not. There's nobody on the other side. Like, there's nobody like, there's no tech support that DoorDash has that like somebody's behind a computer and they're like, hello, can I help you? What's your problem today?" Right? No, that was you're talking to artificial intelligence, right? If you called somebody and they're talking, that was artificial intelligence. Whoever you're texting your problem to, right? And it's taking the time to text back, that was artificial intelligence, right? So it knows how far, like when you get a DoorDash, right? Or you order something, it knows how far away it is. It knows how long it's going to take. It knows how much it costed. It knows how much gas you have. It knows, this stuff. Your phone knows you better than you know you, right? And it's because you've given it all the information it could ever want and need. You take pictures of yourself when it asks you to take to verify your right, your bank account, your name, your address, right, your pictures. You already gave it the information. And then think about the cloud, the internet cloud, right? I can look myself up and still find a picture of me from like 15 years ago, and I don't have access to that, like MySpace or that email, or right? And I'm just like, whoa, right? Like that's an old picture. Like that's crazy that like it's on Google, right? Like I looked myself up and I found this picture of like when I was like 18, right? That's like 20 years ago, and I'm like, man, I remember taking that picture too, and I'm just like, that's crazy. That it's still floating around. Remember that first email you had, right? Juice Rules in 2000, right? 1999. Yeah, it still exists. It's just like often the void, the purgatory of the internet, right? Like it's just out there, right? So, artificial intelligence, or you've given it everything it could want and need, and you've been being tricked. And for all you know, everything you see and hear, it was never real, right? And for all you know, all these countries and all these people, and everybody wants to blame Trump, everybody wants to blame the Canada minister, everybody wants to blame that Boris guy from the UK. How do you know that these guys aren't running around like chickens with their heads cut off either? How do you know that what you see as far as the news is the same as what I see? Because you can look at like these breaking news articles and none of them are real. Like nobody wrote these. It's all misspelled. The facts and details are all obscured. All you're going to do is read the headline and you're going to be like, oh my God, a baby died. Oh my God, in a car crash and the mother. But I'm like, read the article though, right? Like read the details. And when people start, and then when I tell people that and they start reading it, they're like, oh yeah, no. Like the details are just odd, right? Like either is she dead or did she live, right? Or like what happened to her? None of it makes sense. It's because it's made up. It's there to manipulate you, right? And tug at your heartstrings and get you angry and feel a certain way, right? All of it has been controlled for the longest time. That's why I don't have social media or anything like that. It's bad enough I put my face on here to talk to you, right? I don't like doing that either, because, if you want to call yourself a Trumper, you want to call yourself a Democrat, you want to say you're part of Black Lives Matter, you want to say you're a transgender, whatever the fuck you want, you should stop doing this, because this artificial intelligence is going to categorize you. Okay? And when it comes down time to it, they're going to say, who's part of like this group? And you already went, me, right? So they're going to say, can you all please go to the left and stand in line and get on that train so we can gas you when you get there? No, now that we know, because you willfully put yourself in a group and we grouped you, and we don't like that group either. So it's just a heads up.